Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the morning routine. It is Thursday morning, September the 14th, 2017, episode number 174. So glad that you guys are here. I hope your week is going fantastic. We've had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to try to accomplish what we wanted to do this week so far, and I hope that you are on your way. Today is Thursday, though. We can make up lost ground today. Right? I don't know why it always feels like we're running from behind, but sometimes we're running from behind. So today is maybe a running from behind today, and we're going to catch up on what we didn't get done this week that we already wanted to get done, and everything is going to be perfecto. So I hope all is well. And I got to tell you, yesterday was a day. Yesterday was, I worked all day. Didn't feel like it was a progressive or work day where you were moving ahead and things were going well. It was a push all day, but I got excited last night because I got to hang out with some of my favorite students in the world. They're awesome. So it was 3D night, which was great. Got to go out and hang out with a friend afterwards, which was awesome, and I had great discussion. And I had some of the greatest news ever yesterday that a friend of mine, who they have been waiting and waiting and waiting in the list of adoption world, trying and waiting and never knowing if they're ever going to have a child. Yes, yesterday they were blessed with a new baby boy. That is so exciting, and I'm so thrilled. What a roller coaster that is, because that the adoption deal is tough because you just never know when you're going to get the call. Like, you have no idea when that call is coming. And it could be 2 years from now, or it could be tomorrow. Like, what a roller coaster. That's tough. So, but a little different. But anyways, very exciting day. I love to hear news like that. It's really cool. And here we are on Thursday. So I don't know what's going on today. I don't know what it has to hold, but we're going to find out. So, but I have a shower thought for you this morning from my favorite newsletter, The Hustle. And here it is, just one of them. It says, dogs hear us talking all day, but if they bark for more than 1 minute, we tell them to stop it. It's true. Imagine if we were the dogs and the dogs were the people. And we were like, hey, I think I'm wrong. You're hungry over here. Hey, did you see? Shh. I'm sorry. That would be hysterical, right? I never thought about that. Not saying that I'm going to let my dog bark, though, because I can't stand it when the dog barks. Oh, my goodness. Better to train him not to bark is my thought. So, but anyways. So I've got some stories lined up for you here. Couple interesting things. This one here I'm sharing with you. It's going to be in the show links. If you're interested in this type of stuff, go to the show links, freedomconvo.com, click on the morning show, or follow the links on YouTube or on Facebook. The podcast, you're going to have to go to the website to see it, because this is a very lengthy article with a lot of history in it. Very interesting to read. It's just way too much to share, and honestly, some people aren't going to really care about this, but I found it very interesting. It had to do with this. It's called The Secret History of FEMA. FEMA being the, what do they call it? The Federal Emergency Management Agency. We've all heard of FEMA come in when there's major hurricanes and storms and stuff like that. But the history of FEMA is pretty interesting. So there's a couple things that I grabbed out of here that I thought I'd share with you. FEMA didn't start off as FEMA in the beginning. In fact, it has been reshuffled and reorganized more than perhaps any other key agency in U.S. history. Harry Truman started FEMA's forerunner, which was what it was called before. It was called the Federal Civil Defense Administration in 1950, right? So becoming the federal FEMA agency in the 1970s. That's when it was renamed. It was the 1970s, okay? And then it was shuffled around again. Every department doesn't want it, and it keeps being pushed and pushed. Finally, after the 9/11 attacks, it became part of the Homeland Security thing, right? So, interesting part of it, though, is FEMA, or the, what was it called again, guys, before they renamed it? The, what was it? The Federal Civil Defense Administration, originally formulated and put together, was primarily focused on responding to nuclear war. That's what was the main reason for the now FEMA was. The evolution to being the first call after hurricane, flood, or tornado came about in part because it turned out America doesn't have all that many nuclear wars. And the equipment and supply stockpiles and disaster response experts at FEMA's predecessor were useful for something more than just the apocalypse. So they put together this great agency, all these stockpiles, all these people and everything, and they weren't getting used. They're like, hey, we might as well put something else on their plate. Let's have them respond to, floods and tornadoes and things like that. So kind of interesting. Also, it's funny to when you trace back in history how things are today and where they came from. So their main headquarters is in the middle of the Blue Ridge Mountain in Virginia, and it's in the center, dug down in the mountain. That's their main headquarters. That headquarter is there because it was put there by the National Weather Service way back in the day, and the reason they put it there was because when they were doing tests on like the weather, they had to get far as possible away from any town because back then they had electric trolleys, and the electric trolleys would send a current off into the air, which messed up all their weather machines. So that's why FEMA's headquarters are in the middle of a mountain out in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, because of electric trolleys. Isn't that interesting, like to trace that back? So there's tons of really cool stuff in this. If you want to take time to read the article, it'll be in the show links, and you can check it out if you want to. So I found that interesting. Somebody else told me once that the size of the booster rockets from the space shuttle were determined by the rear end, the size of a rear end of a horse. You could say, excuse me? Yes. And this is how he traced it back. It was actually pretty interesting. He traced it back by saying this, that the booster rockets are so large when they're manufactured that the only way to transport them is to transport them by train. They can't go over the road. They're just too big, right? So the train, of course, the size of the train determines the size of the booster. So they looked at how big the train can handle, and that was their maximum size of the booster, right? So then they looked at the train, and the train goes down on tracks, right? Well, the tracks of a train were determined back in the heyday. They laid the tracks down right where the trails were that people had been traveling for years in their wagons being pulled by two horses. And that's where their footprints were, right? Where the tracks were is where they put the rails for the new train that carried the booster rocket. Well, why were the distance of those tracks the way they were? They were because when they saddled up two horses side by side, the size of the rear end determined how close they could get them together, which made the tracks for the rails, for the train, for the booster rocket. See the connection there? Pretty crazy. I know. True, though. So, but anyways, on to the next story. Little information there. All right, here is something that may be able to help us in our work. Okay, this article, stress is a real thing in our lives, right? It's a real part of our lives that we need to learn how to manage. One of my favorite classes in high school was called Coping Psychology. We would go into the wrestler's gym where they had all the pads laid down, and he would try to teach us how to breathe and how to think and how to meditate to relieve stress in our workday. And I would fall asleep, and then I would get in trouble because you're not supposed to fall asleep. You're just supposed to manage stress. But this article, 3 bad habits that are making your work stress worse. Interesting. I mean, that's a headline grabber right there. So here's what they are, so according to this author, okay? Mistake number 1, making your stress worse. Trying to go it alone. Okay. To compensate for distracting tendencies, many people try to isolate themselves from other people when they're under pressure. If only I can get a few hours alone this week to really focus, I'll be able to get a better handle on this, you might think. In fact, one way to help yourself get productive work done while you're stressed is to work together in a group. So, give that a try. Me, I'm more like, just give me some space and I'll get this thing done, man. You know, I'm under stress, but I'll grind it out and get it done. You know, bringing in a group seems more distracting and more stressful to me because now you got to manage moving parts. But according to this author, by working in a group, it's better. Okay, so I don't know. Your brain, let's see. Your brain will likely be able to stay more focused in stressful situations when you're working with others than when you try to hack away at a problem on your own. That is, just as long as you don't spend the whole time talking about whatever's stressing you out. I love it. So, mistake number 2, sacrificing your downtime. This makes perfect sense. You need to find ways to escape, at least for a while. The natural reaction is that I'm going to grind this out and I'm going to get through this, we're going to be done. But you have to have some downtime to refresh your mind, otherwise, and get rid of the stress. Find something truly enjoyable to do, whether or not it induces calm or mindfulness. Go to a movie, a concert, play a game, do some exercise, whatever it might be. but take time to get away in the middle of the stress hurricane there. So, and the third mistake that this author has to say, don't worry, Kevin, you're not being graded here. I know you're 0 for 2, but there's time. Mistake number 3, losing perspective. Force yourself. This one is, I don't know about this one, guys, but this is how this author has written this, okay? Force yourself to think through the worst case scenario as methodically as you can. Once you have done this, try just accepting the worst imaginable outcome rather than struggling to avoid it with everything you've got. I don't know about this, because this one, if you're in a stressful situation at work and you're like, all right, the worst case scenario is I don't get this done and I fail and my superiors look at my work is very poor, and they're like, hey, you are fired because you can't do your job. All right, so now I know that's the worst case scenario. Now I'm going to accept that I may be fired if I don't get this job done. I am not feeling any better now. I'm feeling stressed even worse. So this one, I don't understand where the author is coming from, maybe. And maybe it's true, maybe I'm missing it. But for me, yeah, no. Worst case scenario, nothing. Mine is more of faith that everything is going to come out okay instead of running in fear that it's not going to come okay. So a little different, but I don't know. So those are 3 habits there. Last thing I want to share with you. I have not used this app yet, but I don't know if you've heard all over the news, though, about this app called Zello. It became very popular during the hurricanes. I guess in Houston, they used it a lot. It got to the top of the App Store, and then they were promoting it down in Florida as an app to put down on your phone. I have not used it, like I said, personally, but it sounds kind of cool. Zello, it's called, Zello, has become the app of choice for emergency rescuers. Zello is a free walkie-talkie app for smartphones, tablets, laptops, and desktop computers. The app requires an internet connection to work properly, whether through a Wi-Fi connection or your mobile data. Doesn't matter. But Zello connects you to fellow users and radio channels where large groups can talk regardless of the distance. So this app basically becomes a walkie-talkie that you can broadcast either to an individual, be connected, or to groups of people. So if you're in trouble or whatever it is, or maybe you have an event that you want to use this thing for and you're all able to get on there and go. The only downside is if cell towers go down and Wi-Fi goes down, it doesn't work. But as long as you have one of those, it'll work. So I don't know. If somebody gives it a try, let me know how you like it, because I'm curious. I would get it on there, but I doubt anybody I know is on it. So me walkie and talking to myself would be wouldn't learn anything from that, right? So, but I'd be like, hey, look at me. I walkie and I talkie. And all by my selfie, too. So I don't know. But anyways, there's the articles for today. Let's go and check what's trending today. Top of the trending list. Most 10 search things yesterday on Google. Number 1, Cleveland Indians. They set the AL record with 21 consecutive wins. Number 2, Frank Vincent, who is an actor. He has passed away. He was in Sopranos and stuff like that. Number 3, Serena Williams. Number 4, David Harbour. Number 5, Freeman High School. Number 6, T-Mobile. Number 7, Nintendo Direct. Number 8, Joanne Gaines. That's the home fixer-up lady. Number 9 is Martin Shkreli. Shkreli? Martin Shkreli jailed after Facebook post about Hillary Clinton. Wow. All right. Number 10 is Brian Cushing. He's a football player. So that's the top 10 most searched things yesterday on Google. Let's go and see what our trending news is for today, guys. Top of the list, 21 children, 2 adults killed in fire in Malaysian school. Sad story to start the list of news. No good. Next, North Korea. North Korea threatens to sink Japan, reduce U.S. to ashes and darkness. All right. This is 0 for 2 as far as, positive news stories here. Next, we have Stephen Nunkin inquired about using government plane for his honeymoon. Okay. Next, we have Spokane, Washington. There, another student was killed. Oh, man, how about Fenway Park? Racism is an American as baseball banner displayed at Fenway Park. Okay, Frank Vincent has passed away. Next after that, Rohingya people. The Rohingya tragedy is turning into a global crisis. Then we have Elaine Duke. U.S. government bans Kaspersky software, citing fears about Russian intelligence. After that, we have Equifax. Equifax reportedly used admin as password in Argentina. And that is all the news that we're going to share today. And that is very, very depressing news. So let's go on and let's see what a passage of wisdom, because I got you. The news has got me down, man. So, passage of wisdom today. Some encouragement after that sad news, guys. All right? Today, our passage of wisdom is 3 verses that go together seamlessly. Okay? It's Romans chapter 12, verses 6, 7, and 8. All right? Here we go. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophecy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it's to show mercy, do it cheerfully. What a great passage. I love this. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. All of us are here for a purpose. We were meant to be exactly who we are, with gifts that we have each been given different than another. And then they go on to encourage us to use those gifts, whatever they are, do it with excellence. If you're an encourager, encourage. If you're a teacher, then teach. If you're a giver, then give generously. If you're a leader, then do it diligently. Show mercy cheerfully if your gift is mercy. This is amazing. One of the things I think we need to remember is that not only have you and I been given our own gifts, but everybody around us has been given gifts. And so when we see somebody and we're having a difficult time with that person or whatever it is, that person has been given gifts that we don't know what they are. But wouldn't it be fun to find out what their gift is and then help them? Well, if you're an encourager, help them to be able to use their gift, right? That's awesome. And we're each different, so we're going to see things through different lenses, right? A person who's a giver doesn't necessarily see through the same lens as somebody who is a teacher, right? And a teacher doesn't see through the same eyes of an encourager or a leader, right? But we got to allow space for each of us to use our gifts and cheer each other on. I love this passage. It's great. Another affirmation that each one of us is here for a specific purpose, and we have a gift that we've been given, and we need to use it. So let's pray, guys, and let's get this day started. Father, good morning. Father, thank you for today, this Thursday that you have given us, one and only day for us to wake up this morning, go through our morning routine of getting our day started, spend some time seeking after you and asking what it is that you have planned for our life today. Father, today help us, like this passage says, help us to discover what that gift is so that we can be who we were meant to be. Father, sometimes we walk through life and we don't know exactly what it is that you've planned for us, and we're asking, and we're like, what is it that you want us to do? What is it that you've put inside of us? What is my purpose? What is that gift that you have put in me that, because I don't know if I have found it yet or not. Help us today, Father, to dig that out, to root it out and discover what it is, or even to get a little bit closer to that. Guide us as we go through our day. Help us to be a positive influence in the people that are around us. Help us to have words of affirmation and encouragement or mercy or teaching or leading. Just be with us as we go through our day, that we don't drain people around us, that we actually fill people up around us and make the world a better place by us being in it. Give us the strength to do that, even though today could be a very, very tough day and could be a stressful day. Help us to glide through it with great calmness. When we thank you for your love and your mercy, protect us as we go through our day. Amen. And that, my friends, is a wrap. So glad that you guys were here this morning on the morning routine. Don't forget, the links to what we shared today will be in the show links on Facebook and on YouTube, or you can go to freedomconvo.com, click on the morning show, and they're all there for you to peruse. So until tomorrow, guys, when we get together once again, don't forget to be exactly who you were meant to be. I love you guys. Have a great day.